Making $85,000 a year, rocking a sharp suit, and grabbing his daily Starbucks, this 30-year-old looks like he's living the ultimate American dream. But the reality? He is exactly one bad decision away from a completely broke retirement. Just like thousands of clients I've sat across from over the years, Solo is living in that invincible bubble of being young. He's feeling pretty good about himself because he's steadily putting 3.3% of his paycheck into his 401k. He tells himself, hey, I'm only 30. I'm saving something. I'm right on track. It's an incredibly comforting psychological trap, but it's absolutely lethal. Speaking as a financial professional, I've got to be straight with you. A contribution rate that low is like trying to bail water out of a sinking boat with a tiny plastic cup. But here's the thing. Math doesn't care about your feelings, and the truth is brutal. When we plug these numbers into a projection, taking that trickle of a 3.3% savings rate and adding in the invisible monster we call inflation, by the time Solo hits age 65, his entire life's savings will completely evaporate in just 4.4 years. You heard me right. Not even 4.5 years of barely scraping by for a retirement that is supposed to last for decades. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself what 30 years of grinding and giving it your all is actually going to buy you in the end? And right now, in the quiet, terrifying reality of Solo's story, do you see a little bit of yourself? To understand how a guy making good money like Solo ended up sliding down this hill, we need to rewind the tape a couple of years back to when he was 28. Here in the US, there's this massive, invisible pressure to look successful. When you're pushing 30, your social media feeds are just flooded with friends getting promoted, buying houses, upgrading to luxury cars, or throwing these picture-perfect weddings at expensive estates. Solo was no exception. He wanted to propose to his girlfriend and buy a brand new SUV to kick off the next chapter of his life. But his bank account? Completely empty. He'd been living paycheck to paycheck for a long time, so, faced with that craving for validation, and without a single dollar in an emergency fund, Solo made a seemingly harmless decision that turned out to be the first fatal stab to his future. He signed the paperwork to pull $33,000 out of his 401k early. Solo told himself, I'm just borrowing my own money. I'll make it up later when my salary goes up. But let me tell you, the IRS doesn't do sympathy. As someone who's been in the financial industry for a long time, I've seen countless young people fall into this exact delusion. The harsh reality is, when you tap into your 401k before age 59 and a half, you aren't just withdrawing money, you are getting penalized. After taking a huge hit from income taxes, plus that 10% early withdrawal penalty from the IRS, the actual amount that hit Solo's account was just a little over $22,000. But the real pain isn't the cash he lost up front. The biggest heartbreak is what economists call opportunity cost. Let's do a little math together. If Solo had just curbed that short-term craving and left that $33,000 alone in his investment account, compounding at an average of 8.8% a year, by the time he turned 65, thanks to the magic of compound interest, that number would have ballooned to over $566,500. That's right. For a car that loses value the second you drive it off the lot, and a flashy wedding party that lasts a few hours, Solo literally set $500,000 of his own future on fire. He traded his golden years of freedom for a fleeting moment of youthful vanity. So many of us secretly treat our 401ks like an emergency ATM, a lifeline for impulsive spending. Have you ever found yourself strapped for cash and forced to pull money from your retirement account to cover an emergency? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Don't be shy. I guarantee you aren't alone, because millions of Americans are making this exact same mistake. But Solo's tragedy doesn't stop there. If draining his account for a car was an impulsive choice, the next crisis was a total blindside from life. Right when Solo hit 30, during a weekend pickup game to blow off some steam, he tore a ligament and needed immediate surgery. Solo had always just assumed his employer's health insurance would cover everything. But the US healthcare system is an incredibly complex and expensive maze. Even with insurance, Solo's out-of-pocket costs hit a staggering $8,800. Once again, with zero emergency fund, Solo panicked. He did the only thing most adults without a financial safety net do. He swiped his credit card. In a single afternoon, Solo strapped himself with $8,800 of debt at a brutal 26.4% APR. And then came the domino effect. The economy started showing signs of heavy inflation. Apartment rent skyrocketed, gas prices surged, and those weekend grocery runs suddenly got terrifyingly expensive. Solo's $82,500 salary suddenly felt tiny, eaten away from the inside out by inflation like a hollowed-out apple. Every single month, after paying rent, food, his car note, and now a credit card bill that was compounding interest daily, Solo had virtually nothing left. It was during those sleepless nights, stressing over bills, that Solo bitterly realized the truth. His retirement plan had actually collapsed a long time ago because it was built on pure illusion. He forgot to factor the two biggest, invisible killers into his financial math: unexpected, massive healthcare costs and the sheer destruction of inflation. Behavioral science calls this present bias, our human tendency to prioritize immediate rewards and comfort while completely ignoring the massive, long-term consequences. Our brains are actually really bad at connecting with our older selves. We treat that 65-year-old version of us like a total stranger, and we are perfectly willing to dump all our burdens right on his shoulders. Solo's careless procrastination at 30, treating himself using consumer debt, he wasn't actually enjoying life. He was literally signing himself up for hard labor. He is forcing 65-year-old Solo to keep breaking his back working a supermarket register or driving Uber in a blizzard just to pay off the impulsive decisions and lack of preparation of 30-year-old Solo. That is not a lifestyle. That is a massive mountain of debt disguised as living your best life. That Friday night, while his friends were probably out knocking back drinks at some packed downtown bar, Solo was sitting dead quiet, all alone in his dimly lit apartment. The pale blue light from his laptop screen highlighted just how exhausted and drained he looked. For the first time in his life, the 30-year-old decided to stop running. He opened a blank Excel spreadsheet. This is that rock-bottom moment of sheer panic. The moment anyone who's financially off track has to face at least once in their life. Coming face to face with the ultimate reality check. Math. Solo started typing in the numbers, his hands literally shaking. Line 1. An $8,800 credit card debt that was swelling every single day at a brutal 26.4% APR. Line 2. His tragically low 401k balance after he gutted $33,000 from it last year. And then his heart started pounding even harder when he pulled up the MIT living wage calculator online. The numbers staring back at him were just ruthless. A single adult in the US right now needs between $41,800 and $57,200 a year just to cover bare minimum survival expenses. Keep in mind, that is just to exist. That doesn't even touch the massive healthcare costs or long-term care bills that hit when a nursing home comes knocking in your later years. When he threw all those numbers together, the sum formula in Excel spit out a result that made Solo feel like all the air had been sucked right out of his lungs. The gap between the tiny amount of money he actually had and the massive amount he actually needed just to avoid being homeless at 65 was a massive crater, separated by over $1 million. Burying his face in his hands in the dead quiet of the night, Solo realized a bitter truth he had been intentionally ignoring. Hope is never a financial strategy. He had always lulled himself to sleep with sweet little lies. Everything's gonna work out. I'll get a raise next year. I'll hit it big on some investment and change my life. But here's the thing, guys. The financial world operates on ironclad rules, and it does not hand out participation trophies to people who just sit around hoping. Hope is not going to pay your electric bill. Hope is not going to buy your prescription meds. And hope sure as hell isn't going to save you from crushing poverty when your hair goes gray and you physically can't work anymore. As a financial advisor, I call this the brutal wake-up call. And to be completely honest with you, I empathize deeply with Solo. Because back when I was 32, I had my own sleepless, cold sweat night staring down that exact same ruthless Excel sheet. We get so caught up in the relentless grind of the American dream, sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the freeway every morning, hitting the grocery store on the way home, crashing on the couch to binge Netflix at night. That comfortable rhythm makes us forget to stop and measure where the train of our life is actually heading. The universe has handed us the greatest lever imaginable to build wealth. It's not some genius-level IQ, and it's not a six-figure job. The ultimate lever is time. Solo learned an incredibly painful lesson. Procrastinating on your savings for 5.5 years in your 20s or 30s doesn't just mean you lose out on a few $1,000s. In the world of compound interest, that delay forces you to pay a brutal penalty of 16.5 years of back-breaking work in your 60s, the exact time you should be kicking back on a beach or traveling with your family. Suddenly, images of elderly folks looking completely exhausted, scanning items at a Walmart register, or 70-something-year-old Uber drivers grinding through a snowstorm flashed vividly in Solo's mind. They aren't lazy. Back in their prime, they were probably just as bright-eyed, wearing nice suits, and making decent paychecks just like he is now. But it happened because they believed a comfortable retirement would just magically show up. Because they ignored the math when they still had the power to change it. Math never lies. It is simply the truest reflection of the habits and behaviors you planted during your prime years. Right there at rock bottom, sitting in the dark, Solo was forced to make a choice. Keep turning a blind eye and let his future drift into a tragedy, or stand up and rebuild his entire financial system from the wreckage. If you were in Solo's shoes in that dark moment, what would you do to turn things around? Have you ever actually dared to sit down, open your laptop, and calculate exactly how much money you need to be truly free to stop working? Drop a comment below with your ideal retirement target number before we dive into how Solo fought his way out of this massive hole. Picture this. It's a rainy Tuesday night, rain just beating against the window of his cramped rented apartment. The clock strikes 2 a.m. All the lights are off, leaving only the pale blue glow of a laptop screen illuminating Solo's exhausted, shell-shocked face. He's just sitting there, completely frozen, in front of an Excel spreadsheet. You know what they say, people only really change when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of actually changing. And that night, Solo hit absolute rock bottom. For the first time in his 30 years of life, Solo mustered up the courage to rip off the mask of self-deception and face the naked truth. He started punching numbers into the Excel columns. That initial credit card debt from his surgery? After months of paying just the bare minimum, it had ballooned to nearly $9,600. His 401k balance after that reckless car withdrawal? Barely hanging on at a pathetic $11,500. But the real shocker, the one that sent an absolute chill down his spine, was when he pulled up the MIT living wage calculator online. According to the latest data, just for a single adult to survive at the bare minimum in an average U.S. state, they need at least $42,000 to $57,000 a year. Factor in inflation over the next 35 years, and that number becomes terrifying. Solo did some simple math. To be able to stop working at 65 and maintain even the most frugal lifestyle, he would need a nest egg of at least $1.8 million. $1.8 million. And Solo was 30 years old, sitting on credit card debt with a 26% APR and a retirement account hovering around $11,500. The gap between those numbers wasn't just a hole, it was a bottomless abyss. You know, in all my years as a financial advisor, the moments my clients break down in tears the most aren't when they get laid off. It's when they have to fill out these numbers in a spreadsheet themselves. That kind of awakening always comes with a dose of brutality. That night, Solo realized a razor-sharp truth that school should have taught him at 18. Hope has never been, and will never be, a financial strategy. We constantly lull ourselves to sleep with the same old chorus. Everything will be fine. I'll save more when I get that next raise. But math doesn't lie. Allowing yourself to delay saving for 5 years in your 20s or early 30s will force you to pay a steep price. 15 years of grueling, back-breaking work in your 60s. Time passing doesn't magically multiply your money. It just shrinks your window of opportunity. That comfortable retirement, those relaxing trips down to Florida, or those peaceful afternoon walks without stressing over the electric bill. They don't just appear out of thin air. They are bought and paid for with the sweat and disciplined decisions you make decades earlier. From a behavioral psychology standpoint, we suffer from something called optimism bias. We always believe that bad things, illness, or crushing poverty in old age, are just stories on the evening news happening to someone else, never to us. But that medical bill and that sky-high interest rate snapped Solo right back to reality. He realized no miracle was coming. The government wasn't going to save him with a few Social Security checks that barely cover basic groceries. His company would replace him with someone younger, healthier, and cheaper the second he couldn't perform. The only person who could save 65-year-old Solo from homelessness was the Solo sitting in this very room right now. The panic slowly gave way to an eerie calmness. It wasn't surrender. It was a moment of profound clarity. Solo understood he had hit rock bottom, and from down in this trench, the only way out was to climb up himself. Before we jump into the next part to see how this guy pulled off an epic turnaround, I want to pause and ask you honestly, if you were in Solo's shoes that exact night, staring into that financial abyss, what would you do to turn things around? Drop a comment below with your ideal retirement target number, the number you genuinely think you need to be free, before we dive into how Solo fought his way out of this massive hole. Who knows? Maybe writing that number down and facing it head-on is your most important first step today. Solo's story isn't just some hypothetical scenario. It's the harsh reality playing out in millions of homes all across America right now. Retirement planning was never just a conversation for silver-haired folks taking it easy in rocking chairs on the front porch. The truth is, it's a battle you absolutely have to win, starting right now, in the absolute prime of your 30s. If watching Solo stumble today hit a little too close to home and made you realize the invisible leaks that are quietly draining your own bank accounts, please, don't panic. Treat this as the ultimate wake-up call, arriving at the exact right time. Math is ruthless, but it's also incredibly fair. You might have made mistakes in the past, but the power to flip the script on your future is entirely in your hands right now. It's time we stop running on false hope and start taking action based on real numbers. If you are genuinely hungry for true financial freedom, hit that subscribe button right now. To help those of you who are ready to take that massive first step, I've put together something I'm really proud of, an exclusive, free ebook called the 7-Day Financial Cleanup Challenge. It's your step-by-step roadmap to completely rebuild your money system from the ground up. I've dropped the free download link right down in the description. Go grab it, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss the actionable financial strategies we drop every single week. Thank you guys so much for your time today, and I'll see you in the next one.